Tonight on PhillyCAM Voices, we have a segment on Bluegrass Hip Hop group Gangsta Grass, as well as a report on the racist remarks made by the Briarcliff Fire Department against African Americans in that community. Good evening, and thanks for tuning into PhillyCAM Voices. I'm your host, Connie Komm. Toya Haynes interviews Arson, the Voice of Reason member of the Bluegrass Hip Hop group Gangstagrass, about their beginnings, recording a #1 album during the pandemic, and the band's message of unity that they're taking all over the world.
At a time where the lines of musical genres are blurred now more than ever before, Philadelphia-based hip-hop bluegrass band Gangstagrass may still be a bit of a culture shock to some. Still, that hasn't stopped them from successfully bringing their musical message of unity to fans all over the world. I recently spoke with Gangstagrass member Arson, the Voice of Reason, about the band's recent success, recording a #1 album during the pandemic, and why we are all better together.
Tell me how Gangstagrass came together.
So our lead singer, the guy that if you've seen any of the videos or seen us live, is playing the guitar, cat named Wrench. This guy's like a musical savant, man. And so when he came up in Cali, right? But his dad's from Oklahoma. He came up listening to a lot of honky tonk and bluegrass country. So when he started making music, he's about my age. So he was coming up where hip hop was really starting to blow up, right? So he when he was putting music together, he just, some stuff just seemed to fit for him, right? So he was actually producing for hip hop cats. Was like, yo, it would be dope right here, like some pedal steel or a fiddle, or whatever. And not everybody was about it. So he was like, all right, well, I'm just gonna do this on my own, and put together, this project that he just, started calling Gangstagrass, right? And it started to gain some ground. Wrench decided he wanted to take the whole thing on tour. He put together some musicians and wanted to go, and Tone wasn't available to go, right? And so he reached out to our other current MC, Dolio, because he and Dolio had done some work together in another band. Dolio wasn't able to go either, and Dolio reached out to me. Now, I've known D since me and D met in '99. We met up at Penn State University. We met in a cypher outside of a bar one night.
Okay.
And, started kicking it after that. Been homies ever since. So he reached out to me and was like, yo, my man is doing this thing. He needs somebody to take him on tour, Would you be down? And so, he called me on a Tuesday. I was on my way into work. By the time I got to work, I told my boss, I was like, yo, my man needs me to do this thing, blah, blah, blah. My boss was like, yeah, sure, why not? So that Wednesday night, I met Wrench at, I think it was the M Room down on Frankfurt and Girard. We did a show down there, and then I hopped in the van with these 4 guys and drove down to North Carolina. We did 3 shows that weekend, and, I've been rocking out with Wrench ever since.
Like in America, we're used to country music, of course. We're used to hip hop, of course. But you all have traveled internationally. How is your music received overseas?
The funny thing about going overseas, and we've been to Canada, we've been to the UK a couple times. We rocked out in Germany, a couple places went to the Netherlands. And the really funny part, the thing that I experienced, because this is my first international experience as well, is that over there, the music is just kind of music. You know what I mean? It's not as genre specific. It doesn't feel as genre specific. So you can go over there and just kind of rock out. One of the things I found most interesting is that a lot of hip hop cats that I've encountered and that I was, a fan of coming up, a lot of them dudes moved over to the UK because they still get burned over there. Artists just get kind of brushed aside as the new thing comes in, right? So, there is very little that, coming up, there wasn't a lot of real respect for a lot of classic hip hop, right? And you see some of it coming back a little bit now, but for a long time, it's kind of brushed to the side. So a lot of cats were over there just doing their thing. So when we went over there, it was just, all right, this is dope music, and the love was real over there. We got a lot of props. This festival we did in Germany, all the shows in the UK was just a lot of just people just enjoying the music without having to find a place for it. It was just there, just dope.
And not telling you, as I've seen on your page, don't blend the genres together that don't need to be blended together. I saw a comment you posted on your page. I know a lot of artists, Black artists that are coming up in country now, Mickey Guyton, Kane Brown, Jimmy Allen, artists like those are really, it's unfortunate that in 2022, they're encountering this get off of our land, get out of our genre, kind of mentality. Can you bring it back to how it is for you in America? Is like the sorts of struggles or issues that you've come against that?
So the funny thing about that is, like, they haven't gone all over the country, right? And one of the things we tell people is that you just have to hear it. It's a hard thing to explain. It's a hard thing to really, like, if you tell somebody what it is, people are going to be like, what? Huh? What is that? But when you hear it, like when you really hear it and you experience it, it's much easier to get. We've I don't even know how many hundreds of shows. I've only ever had one guy that was like, no, and just kind of storm out, right?
Wow.
Very much a thing where when you hear it, like I've encountered just degree upon degree upon degree of people that weren't really, that told us, like, I wasn't a bluegrass fan. I was into hip hop. I dig the heck out of you guys. And I wasn't a hip hop fan, but I'm into bluegrass. And I dig the heck out of you guys.
Right.
And people that are, said they weren't fans of either one, but like what we were doing. You know what I'm saying? And so it's just a matter of the quality of the music, right? And making we've got instrumentalists that are really good at playing their instruments, and singers that are really good at singing, and two MCs that take the craft of MCing and lyricism very seriously.
Right.
And so when you have all of that, it's really just about making good music. And regardless of what your tastes are, if you're a fan of good music, it's going to resonate.
Like many artists these past 2 years, due to the pandemic, Gangstagrass has really had their share of challenges. Still, they've managed to stay connected with their fans, create new music, and even put out a chart-topping album.
Was recording stuff in my house, and we got all the tracks to Wrench, and he put together the whole album. And so it was a matter of really maintaining a way of creating a record apart. Like, we were all in our separate spaces, and it was difficult to do, but we got it done. And we created a Twitch channel that we use to stay connected with the fans and so on and so forth. And every one of it, we would take turns manning it. So one night I would be on, and Dan would be on one night, and Brent would be on. So forth. It was actually my night to be on, and I was just running my mouth. We were just talking about how difficult things were and so on and so forth. And I happened to just say, it's no time for enemies. And Dan was listening, and he was like, that's it. That's the title of the album. So the whole thing was just born of us sort of connecting, trying to stay connected with the fans while we were out and about in our own separate spaces. When we were putting the album together, the things that we decided that we wanted to do, writing songs about, it was just a matter of what's the kind of stuff that we just sort of talk about. What do we build on? How do we create? And, just kind of go from there.
Gangstagrass got to perform on America's Got Talent, which was so exciting because America got to see Gangstagrass. They got to hear the music. They got to see the authenticity. Tell me about that experience.
America's Got Talent was fun. It was a lot of fun. Terry Crews is awesome. That dude, he's a good cat, man. And, we hung out and we went out to do the audition. We were watching some of the other acts. We're like, wow, all right, this is going to be dope. This is going to be real cool. And then we were out there for a couple days doing that. And then when we went back to do the live show, I imagine the whole thing would have been a lot different in non-COVID times, but they were able to really, really keep the whole thing very, very safe. And, we got tested every couple of days, so on and so forth. And they really did a great job of, in the midst of all of that, still keeping it fun and professional and really, really
keeping
exciting.
The energy up, right.
Yeah, the energy. They kept the energy up. My favorite part was the wardrobe people. Like, the wardrobe squad was really good. Actually, the one lady that ran the wardrobe, she was a Philly head. She went to Kappa with the Roots. Like, she was that Philly, right? And so, just being out there and doing the whole thing, it was buckets of fun, man. And just able to really connect with it, because the guy that won, he was on our show, so we got a chance to know him, and met a bunch of very cool cats out there, and these folks that we're still connected with right now. So it was a really exciting experience.
It was fun being able to watch you guys up there. It was fun getting to see America experience Gangstagrass. It was fun seeing, of course, you guys getting the standing ovation that you got. It was really great to be able to see that. And I think also going back to what you were saying about how you have to listen to the music. Well, another thing that's multicultural are the judges. You have Heidi Klum, and you have like others that are from different countries being able to listen and experience Gangstagrass. I think that that's just so great that you got that exposure and continue to gain fans. What is the message of Gangstagrass? If you could say, this is our message, this is what we want people to know, well, what is it?
The message of Gangstagrass is very much, I would say, we can do this. We can all do this together. I don't have to think exactly the way you think. I don't have to live exactly the way you live. But together, we can do this thing where all of our lives wind up better. Right? There's a song on the new album called "Do Better," and the hook is, "We all do better when we all do better," which is it's basic, but it's the absolute truth. Like, the better your life is, most likely the better mine is too. And if we are able to create those connections where everybody's lives are getting better, then everybody's lives will get better.
I'm Toya Haynes for PhillyCAM Voices.
We all do better, we all do better. We can't get better than that, right here. We all do better when we all do better. You can't get better than that.
In our next segment, I interviewed members of the community and Harold James, a retired Philadelphia police officer and a retired state representative, about what he thinks regarding the racist remarks made by the firefighters at the Briarcliff Fire Department in Darby Township against African Americans.
Last month, we celebrated Black History Month. During this time, we celebrate the accomplishments of African Americans. But the firefighters at the Briarcliff Volunteer Fire Station in Darby Township, Pennsylvania, decided after a Zoom call on the consolidation of the township's emergency services to go on a 2-hour racist rant. They denounced blacks in the township as N-word people that ruin everything. They called members of the only all-black fire station in the township a bunch of effing N-word people and lazy. One person on the call said Tiberius Bobo, the black fire chief of the Darby Fire Station number 4, was a piece of you know what. They made fun of the name of a little girl that was shot and killed by police. Her name was Fantability. They called her Fanta Soda, Fanta Orange, and Fanta Grape. But most disturbing of all, according to a letter reported on by CBS 3, is they went as far as discussing arson to homes on Cook Avenue. There were also threats of physical violence, even arson, made against members of the Goodwill Fire Company. I interviewed people on the street to get their reaction to what the Briarcliff firemen said about African Americans they swore to protect and serve.
Hi, I am highly disappointed in hearing that the Briarcliff Fire Department is using such rhetoric and nastiness and hate. That should not be allowed ever. I am very disappointed.
I believe it's a bunch of nonsense. Racism shouldn't be a thing, and we're all American at the end of the day. We should just love each other.
It boggles my mind because I am an African and I have American-born children, especially boys, and to have Caucasian firefighters talk about black people living in their township in such derogatory terms makes me wonder, should they really be in the positions that they are in?
I think their comments were disgusting. In the world that we live in today, there's no place for that. There's no place for that. And then to not be competent enough to be off the call. People talk all the time, but when people hear something so disparaging, there has to be consequences.
That's disgusting. We live here, we're Americans. This is our place, it's our country. We belong here. I think it's awful the way they're saying things like that. They should be get rid of. We should get rid of them. It's disgusting.
Well, I think it's wrong to be like hateful and, say, bad things about other people in general, no matter what, where they come from or, whatever, race or whatever.
I interviewed Harold James, a retired Philadelphia police officer, retired state legislator, and former president of the Guardian Civic League, an organization dedicated to making sure African Americans are represented on the Philadelphia Police Department. We discussed the importance of having members of these public service organizations actually represent the people that they serve. Here's some of that interview with Harold James.
I don't think so. I think that those having those kind of views are not sensitive and should not be part of any kind of service to the community, holding those kind of views, because they cannot be sensitive to the concerns and the needs of the community.
When you were a police officer, did you have to deal with white officers that had negative views regarding African Americans?
Yes, we did. And what would happen is that you would have whites that try to treat blacks more harshly, more brutal. But when blacks was around, they didn't do it when black officers was around. So that's why it was necessary to have more blacks on the police force. Yes, they are. And after my term, Rochelle Bilal, who's now the sheriff of Philadelphia, who also was a president of the Guardian Civic League, had an issue with white police officers who made remarks on Facebook and on some other kind of social media that they took that whole group down because of that.
I asked people what they thought about the comments made by the Briarcliff Fire Department that they wanted to burn down homes on Cook Street. Here's what they said.
I have no idea. I didn't hear any of that.
That's horrible. How dare they think about burning down homes?
Why would they burn down a home? Why would they? Why would they burn down a home? The hate is so unnecessary in this day and age and unbelievable. It's where's the love at? Where's the love for people and God's people? Where's the love? And that's what's missing today.
There's no place for that comment or reaction. They want to commit arson. If anybody said anything about arson, that is a crime. and they should be prosecuted. That is a terroristic threat, and they should be prosecuted to the highest degree.
Over in Darby Township, these Briarcliff firemen stated on the Zoom call that they were on, that they didn't know they were on. They called for burning down residents' homes on a street called Cook Street. What do you think should be done about that?
And they were firefighters?
Yes.
Well, that goes to show you the insensitivity there. If they were talking about doing that, you make you wonder whether or not they ever did, or whether or not they have done that in the past, or know of other firefighters that may have done something like that. So, of course, they should be disciplined and they should not be members of the fire department.
I asked citizens what type of consequences, if any, should happen to these firefighters.
But those men need to be held accountable. Now, I'm not saying they should get fired. That's not going to serve any real purpose. But they need to sit down and have a dialogue. It's something I think is the first step I would advise.
I think everybody should be treated the same. That's it.
They need to be educated, definitely educated.
There definitely has to be consequences. I don't know if they should fire him, suspend him, write him up, write the people up involved. It's Black History Month. We're in the middle, we're watching a war go on. And that's the best thing. You guys are hired to serve and protect. And this is the way you treat us.
Well, like I said, I mean, that's up to a judge, that's up to the courts, you know. I mean, like I said before, I don't think he should be hateful in any way, you know. It's just gonna have, you know, negative consequences for you, you know, so.
This is Connie Komm for PhillyCAM Voices.
Hi, Toya. Thank you for joining me in the studio. This is the last show we're putting on together as part of the Community Reporting Fellowship we both took part in. Can you believe it's 4 months?
No, it went by so quickly. I can't believe it's been 4 months.
Right. And Toya, can you describe your beat to me?
Sure. I primarily report on arts and entertainment with really more of a focus on music. So musicians, the music scene, whether it be jazz, R&B, hip hop, DJs, local record stores, all those types of things. So that's really, most of my focus is on music in the local music community.
And why does this subject matter interest you? Are you a musician?
I'm not. I'm one of those rare people that have like done everything in music but sing anything. But I love music. I'm a big music nerd, and I love to know about how music is made and people's creative process and how we can support the arts in our community. So that's really my heart. It's just the passion of being able to support the local arts community and also letting people know just about the great richness that Philadelphia has in music history. I think is really important. And I think there's a lot of great stuff, not just historically, but presently that's happening in people's backyards that they just don't know about. Tell me about your beat though, Connie. Describe yours to me.
Well, I think my beat is more like current events, what's going on in the world, what's going on in the local community. Because I find that a lot of times the regular news, they don't really give like an in-depth understanding of anything. Mm. So when there's a subject that interests me, whether it's political or like I did something once on or the pandemic or whatever, mm-hmm. or an aspect of that, I like to do a story on it.
Yeah. Do you like covering politics? Is that mostly what you like to cover?
Well, I cover politics, but I covered like pet adoption during the pandemic. Mm-hmm. I covered like the homeless during the pandemic. But like I've covered like injustice. I like to cover
right.
things. If I see an injustice, I like to cover that.
Mm. Yeah. How long have you been doing that?
That's a good question. It's been a while. Maybe I've done voices I don't know, maybe 6 years. I don't really know. But one thing that did happen, speaking of politics, this year I did get elected. I'm now an elected official.
What? I didn't know that. Congratulations.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm the majority inspector for my little neighborhood.
Okay, that's pretty major. That's wonderful.
And yeah, so Toya, do you want to say anything more about what you do?
I really do love covering local music. And one thing that I said was that historically Philadelphia has a lot of culture. And I think one of like the favorite things that I've been able to do since I've been with PhillyCAM Voices is when Boyz II Men got that street named after them. And I loved covering that because it showed how important, music is in schools. They graduated from Kappa. And so it's the same street that Kappa is on. And so it just showed how important that is to have music and the arts in the schools, and how not everyone is fortunate enough to be successful on Boyz II Men's level, but it has shown how important the arts have been within Philadelphia, and that it has produced so much great talent, whether it be platinum selling artists like Boyz II Men or other music teachers that are also helping other students in the arts. Do you have a particularly favorite segment you've done?
I don't know if I have a segment that's a favorite, which I probably do, but in terms of just like memories of what we do with these stories, I think one of my more recent favorite memories is when I went to a PABJ party, a Christmas party, and I ran into State Senator Anthony Williams, and I asked him to do an interview on oh gosh, well, I can't even remember the topic. But anyway, the point is that he said, "Oh yeah, call my office," and so I did, and they said, "Oh well, you got to reach this person by email," and I did that. But anyways, I tracked him down. I got him to do the interview, and then after the interview was over, when we were done with the Zoom call, I know it was on the Country's on Fire, about the fact of this, new Republican Party trying to take over in the next election in 2022. And anyway, at the end of the interview, he said, "Well, how do you know me? How did you find out about me?" And I told him the story about I met him at the party, and I got in touch. He said, "Well, I am just so happy that you decided to, pursue it and reach out to me." So I thought, okay, got to have some tenacity in this thing.
You absolutely have to have tenacity in this space. I was fortunate enough to interview him when they did the Prince tribute neighborhood concert, and it was Sheila E., Marcy at the time. I'm trying to remember, they had Bino French, who is from Philadelphia, and some other artists. Questlove also played there. So yeah, Senator Anthony Williams is fantastic. He's really great.
Yeah, and he's also on this story as well with Briarcliff, because he is the state rep or state senator from that Darby Township, or part of it.
Okay.
But I didn't want to interview him again. I wanted to do somebody different.
Well, it's been wonderful to be able to have access to local politicians and artists and our neighbors within the community, to be able to get the stories that only local reporters can get. So it's been wonderful to be a part of this community reporter fellowship.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I want to thank everybody for tuning into this episode. Look out in the coming months for stories from the second round of Community Reporting Fellows. And you can also watch our show on YouTube and Roku, and follow us on Facebook and Instagram. We'll see you next time.